Good afternoon. I'm here with Peter, the current Chief Executive of the British Charolais Society, known to many of you, I'm sure. Good afternoon, Peter. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Sarah. Yes, well, thank you.
Good. I thought we'd start perhaps by talking a little bit about your role at the Society. Obviously, it's been a difficult past year, and I know you haven't been able to get into the office there at Stoneleigh as much as you'd like to have done. What have been the key moments in the last 12 months, and what are you aiming to do in the next 12 months?
I think obviously we've been locked down over a year on and off. And first of all, I'd just like to thank the staff, really, because without the staff, the Society would struggle. We've got Rosemary, the office manager. He organised all the IT within a day and for enabling us to work from home. And every credit must go to the rest of the team. Rebecca, Fiona, Mandy, Julie have done incredibly well. And just thank them for giving up part of the house for the last 12 months on and off for doing the Charolais work, really. So well done, team.
And when do you think the team will be back in the office? Are you planning that now?
We've never really been out in the office. We've always had at least two people in the office all the way through the pandemic. We're slowly building up, and we're looking to get everybody back in full time in June, when the restrictions should be lifted, hopefully.
Right, okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about your role as Chief Executive. This obviously varies a lot between companies and organizations. What do you spend most of your time doing?
Gosh, every day is different. At the weekend, we were in Welshpool selling bulls and cows. Good sale. Other days that we can be answering queries on DNA registrations, talking to Charolais International, which is all the Charolais societies throughout the world. And of course, we've got the World Congress coming up next year, so that's creating a lot of work as well. But what an opportunity to show off British genetics.
And you've had, as I said earlier, perhaps a very tough year with COVID-19 restrictions. What has that meant to the society?
One of the things we've missed out on is to be able to promote the Charolais at the shows and sales. Obviously, it's hit our income because of the sales have been cancelled. Rosemary worked very hard to set up a sales platform for the website, which enabled our members to sell online. And as you can see, there are several people selling on Facebook as well now. So I think that's sort of the thing to come. And one of the challenges we have, because people are realizing online platforms work. And I think what we should be doing is combining sales with online sales and getting commission that way.
And do you see that we've sort of moved to a digital platform earlier than perhaps we would have done in farming?
Absolutely, Sarah. There's no doubt about that. I think it's pushed things along, but I think talking to Australia, they now sell all the bulls online, and Canada are having sales online as well. So I think it's, who'd have thought we'd have been using Amazon and other sort of websites to buy things, and it's just progress.
And how do you think that's going to affect the market long term? I mean, there have been some very good prices achieved for Charolais cattle on Facebook, but obviously without the shows and sales, that does have a market effect on both the price and the ability of perhaps some of the lesser known breeders to sell their cattle at premium prices.
I agree. And I think next year when we see the proper return of the shows and sales, I think, the smaller breeders will come into their own again, because there are some tremendous cattle being produced by some of our smaller members.
And any other effects that you've seen COVID have? I mean, the obvious ones are obviously manning the office and the lack of shows and sales, but has it had any other effect on you?
Well, obviously we got everybody mobile phones, so people can ring direct, for it be Fiona for registrations or Rebecca for accounts. that took a while to just get in place, but now it's working extremely well.
And I suppose we could say we've had a bit of a double whammy this year because we're still dealing with the fallout from Brexit. We did get a deal at the end, but how is that working for you? I think there are some problems perhaps in Northern Ireland with getting cattle across for sales here, or
There are. I mean,
back. Yeah.
Last year we spent several weeks trying to get to achieve to become a third country society, which we've successfully done. And moving over to Northern Ireland, the issues of tagging and residency periods, we have written to George Eustace and several other MPs and the European Parliament as well, because I feel so strongly about, it's restrictive trade for our Northern Irish members and where a lot of good cattle come from.
And what other effects is Brexit having on the breed?
I think it's the genetic pool, because people aren't bringing cattle across from Northern Ireland to Stirling, for example, simply because if they don't sell the animal, it has to stop in Scotland, for example, for 6 months before it can return home. And unless you've an exceptionally good animal, you're not going to take that risk.
No, it does seem quite a challenge at the moment.
Huge challenge, Sarah, huge.
And then I think, we've seen the Charolais breed or the Charolais animal change quite a lot in the last couple of years. I think you've been in post there now. This is your 5th year. What big changes have you seen in the type of animal that's being produced today?
I think historically we had the, people used to think of Charolais as hard carving, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. Now we've got easy carving, soft fleshing animals. And I look at some of the animals, such as what Alan Drysdale produces, great looking cattle and selling exceptionally well, just right for the marketplace, really.
And what is the current marketplace looking for? I think that's an interesting question, because I know that close to your heart is building I'm going to call it a brand Charolais. Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's to get a brand would be, incredible. I mean, we look at other breeds and think, if we could just match they could do, it would be phenomenal. We've spoken to McDonald's. They already have a Charolais burger in France. So we're talking to other retailers as well. And I'd just love one day to be able to see the Charolais brand on the shelves or in fast food, really. And
does that include restaurants? I think we have seen Charolais steaks in some restaurants. Is that
we have? And yes, we have. And with the Charolais being such a fast finishing animal and being sort of almost the green animal, I think it's just important that we push this, especially when we hear today that the government's going to tighten up on legislation about green and carbon credits. We only need to look around and see what the retailers are doing. They're already looking at purchasing land to be able to sow wild bird seed, grow trees. And I think, we need to be part of this environmental change and actually really promote how good the Charolais is, faster finishing, between 12 and 14 months of age. We've also written to DEFRA to try and get the age of beef labelling rules changed from 12 months to 10 months, because you can finish Charolais within that 12-month period.
And I think that, this sort of whole carbon issue at the moment is a very hot topic politically, and with the consumer as well, perhaps particularly running up to this big conference in Glasgow, COP, later this year. So what are the real benefits of a Charolais as far as the environment is concerned? What should we be telling people?
I think it's the importance of, faster finishing equals lower carbon and quicker profits and turnover. I think it's lower carbon and profitability go hand in hand.
Great note to finish on, I think, Peter, and let's hope everybody's enjoyed listening to you today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah.